my one thing was I went into the Disney Channel building and I sat down with the president of Disney Channel and I said, I want to make history. And that's what this is.
We're interviewing Nickelodeon stars, Ariana Grande.
Is that like, that's like a impossible question, I think. It's Beyonce?
If you could be a Disney princess, who would you be?
Cinderella, because she worked for what she got. She wasn't some little mermaid. Have you ever had bacon and syrup?
I'm not finished. Let's get started.
Well, grab
First
the
off,
toaster.
oh my God, can you let me do what I need to do?
It's an absolute honour to be here today in full fucking glam at 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning.
I got this. I got this real good. I went to animal communication school. Trust me, we like tight.
Justin, if you can hear me. Justin, you're right there. Make me one less lonely girl.
It was so obvious that Katy Perry was lip-syncing during her performance at the NRJ Music Awards. Like, there was a very blatant 15-second delay between what she was hearing in her earpiece and what the audience was hearing in the crowd. And like in clips from that night, you can just see the embarrassment on Katy's face when the host of the show asked her to start again. And then, oh yeah, you actually have to sing. And that's not her only notable super embarrassing onstage moment. In 2008, she was performing her hit song I Kissed a Girl for the MTV Latin American Awards, and she must have thought that jumping into a gigantic pink frosted cake was like a great idea. But then it was time for her to get out of the cake and she kind of was being held hostage. She fell flat on her face when she finally wrestled free of the cake, and then another 7 times before she was carried off stage, the cake tripping her on her way out. And even though it was like super embarrassing, she managed to keep a smile on her face, so like points to her, but like, girl, choices. Hugh Jackman once admitted in an interview that he had a bit of a leak in front of a crowd while he was on stage playing Gaston in a 1996 Australian production of Beauty and the Beast. So the actor revealed that after enduring headaches for 2 months, he asked an expert what to do and they said drink more water. So on the day of performing, he consumed so much water that by the time he was set to deliver his first number, he had to go. He explained, literally, I'm picking up Belle, and as I pick her up, I stopped singing, and right in that moment, I realized the muscles you need to release in order to sing are the ones you don't want to release if you need to go. Back in 2013, Selena Gomez was performing at the Kiss FM Jingle Ball and was dealing with some major sound issues. Now, she might have been lip syncing because apparently what was heard in the crowd was her backup track, and like honestly whatever, lip syncing happens, but after one of her songs, the lights went down, the crowd went nuts, and then she yelled, "What the F?" into the microphone because she didn't realize it was still on. So then everybody in the crowd was murmuring like really nervously, and when the lights came back up, she was like, "Oh, so sorry guys, sound issues, I'm gonna play 2 more songs." Well, she only played 1 more song and then had to leave the stage. Poor thing. The 2012 Emmy Awards caused quite a ruckus for the beautiful Sofia Vergara. Seems like her designer dress was a little too tight and her derriere for freedom and came out victorious. 20 minutes before Modern Family won the Outstanding Comedy Award for the 3rd year in a row, this wardrobe malfunction sent Sofia Vergara flying backstage to fix the problem with the help of her wardrobe team. Thankfully, this embarrassing moment did not faze her one bit. She even tweeted out the photo of her rear end for the entire world to see. You go girl. Jennifer Lawrence is an incredible actress, super down to earth, super relatable. She's super talented, she's quick on her feet, but sometimes she's a little too quick on her feet. And we all saw this back in 2013 when she won Best Actress and tripped up the stairs while on her way to accept the award. Look, I've been there, I've worn the big skirts, I've fallen and done my fair share, but I don't think anybody has ever fallen quite as much as she has in terms of red carpet events, but she's doing great. Maybe just like get some help when you're wearing the big ball gowns. Been there. Beyonce is more than a person. She is the embodiment of beauty, talent, and success. She's lived most of her life on stage performing like she was born to do, and throughout her entire career she's remained classy in any outfit, no matter how revealing or outrageous, and has continued to be just incredible. It cannot be argued. Queen Bee all the way. But hey, even queens have their moments, and it's their choice on whether to dwell on them or pick themselves up. And I think we can all agree that when Queen Bee falls down, she bounces back up in a heartbeat, which she has proven to us over and over again. I think all in all she's fallen like 9 or 10 times, but her biggest stumble was during the Beyonce Experience tour, where she fell down 12 steps. Thankfully she didn't get hurt, but like, whew, poor thing. Ouchie. Kelly Clarkson found herself in a bad position after some food didn't agree with her stomach during a performance. She almost ended up pooping her pants on stage, and when she had the opportunity to run off during a quick change, she apparently destroyed a trash can. She said, like, I got some kind of wrecked up from some kind of food. We were in an arena, and I shouldn't tell this story, but like I said, I don't have a filter. She had to run backstage to do her quick change. She grabbed this poor trash can, and boy, she destroyed it. It was bad. She's like, it was bad. I'm just saying, it happens. What are you supposed to do? Hey, you do you. Things happen. Joe Jonas once had an accident on stage in the middle of a performance with his brother. Looking back on the 2019 incident, Joe says that when he realized he had also done a number 2, he quickly ran off to make a quick wardrobe change. And while he thought a lot of people would notice, Turns out nobody really knew what was happening. He said, let's just say it was a bad day to choose to wear white clothing. You might think it might be a little toot, might have been a little something else, it was a little something extra. He said it was a light one, wasn't a full, so I was able to tell the tale. Thank you so much for that detail, Joe. That's what I needed today. He definitely continued the whole time. I thought this was definitely, somebody is going to be able to see this and know what is happening, but it was all in my head. Wasn't as big of a deal as I thought. But such is life. It's happened to many artists. I feel like I've paid my dues. I'm part of some secret club now. Yeah, okay, pal. In 2004, Ashlee Simpson performed her hit single Pieces of Me on Saturday Night Live, and it went fine. But then when she came back to perform her next tune, Autobiography, things went south. The vocals for Pieces of Me began playing while her mic was down at her side. She tried to recover, for some reason, with a spontaneous hoedown before fleeing the stage. We've all seen the clip. At the end of the episode, a visibly mortified Simpson said, "I feel so bad. My band started playing the wrong song. Didn't know what to do. Thought I'd do a hoedown." Later on 60 Minutes, she blamed her acid reflux for her reliance on a backing vocal track, and she's attempted comebacks, but no public was having it. Her record sales never recovered. We haven't really heard from her ever again. The house is packed. The ovation is standing, but the reviews are scathing. Why is it that there was such a visceral reaction to Cameron Dallas's run in the Broadway adaptation of Mean Girls as romantic lead Aaron Samuels? Was the runway model turned Broadway star too harshly treated by the critics online? Or was this a really damning moment of the dreaded stunt casting that's plagued a lot of Broadway productions for years? When the original Aaron, the beloved by fans Kyle Selig, opted to take a leave of absence from the show, it was announced that Mean Girls would introduce Cameron Dallas to take over the mantle for just like 4 weeks. And the decision proved unpopular with hardcore fans of the New York theater community, but also saw a huge response from fans of the heartthrob. Look, at the time, he was like the most famous member of the cast. He had more followers on Insta and Twitter than the entire ensemble put together multiple times over. His announcement on Instagram garnered almost as many likes as the official Mean Girls on Broadway account had followers altogether. We're talking like over 200,000. So there was no doubting, objectively, the considerable difference in ability at almost every quantifiable level between the social media celeb and the man he was covering for. Kyle's vocal range was leagues above Cameron Dallas's. Ditto to the acting credits. After all, there's a decade of experience in musical theater, stage time, and possibly most egregiously for theater purists, dues paid between the pair. Like when Kyle won the National High School Music Award and was subsequently granted a $10,000 scholarship for musical theater, Vine, the app where Cameron Dallas would launch his career, was still 2 years away from launching. One Reddit poster claimed that after watching the show on what was Cameron's opening night, that he sounded like he was reading his lines from a teleprompter. I remember when this hit the internet, I heard a boot. It was rough. John Cena made sure he didn't show too much on the 2024 Oscars stage. The actor appeared to be fully in the nude as he presented the award for Best Costume Design. He certainly wasn't wearing much, but he had some precautions in place to avoid any dramatic wardrobe malfunction. Now, behind the scenes photos do show Cena standing in an Oscars hallway wearing a modesty pouch to cover up the most personal parts. It's basically a pair of underwear, pocketed to, the front and the back. So while it looked like the pro wrestler could flash to the audience at any moment, the Oscars team made sure that wasn't gonna happen. It was all an homage to one dramatic Oscars moment past. The 46th Academy Awards, 1974. David Niven was in the middle of introducing Elizabeth Taylor when a streaker ran across the stage, and host Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? And Cena fit the bill. But he wasn't going to become the next Hollywood streaker. They were joking that, he was supposed to, and then he got cold feet. And if you found yourself wondering if this was a music performance or a episode of WWE Raw, don't worry, you're not alone. While performing at the 2013 Billboard Music Awards, R&B star Miguel decided to take things up a notch. He leapt from the stage across the teeming crowd, but fell short, directly landing on a fan's head while hitting another with his leg. To add to the awkwardness, he proceeded to hug the wrong person and continued with his performance. He later appeared in a backstage interview with one of the injured fans in an apparent attempt at damage control. However, he was eventually sued by another lady who claimed to have also been hurt by his humiliating job. At the Time 100 Most Influential People red carpet, there was a buzz in the air that made you think, hey, maybe things are going to be different. After all, it's rare that an event will draw high-ranking diplomats, groundbreaking scientists, and Kim Ye all in one room, back when they were a thing. Get a bunch of famous people together and we're gonna get something fun. Granted, it must be said that that evening in particular truly belonged to comedian Amy Schumer, who was being honored for her show Inside Amy Schumer. So Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were nearby while the funny woman was being interviewed on the red carpet. With flashbulbs going off, Kim in this beautiful lace gown with a massive skirt, and then Kanye next to her looking like he does. They were there. And then all of a sudden, Amy started walking towards them. Was she gonna say hi? No, she threw herself in front of them, pretending like she had stumbled, and then laid there, completely face down on the carpet for quite a period of time. So Kim and Kanye pretended not to notice, and then we got Laverne Cox being like, yes, Amy, yes! And I guess everybody laughed. So Kanye looked at Amy, still serious, but then after hearing the laughter, I guess Kim smiled, clearly not knowing what was going on, but recognizing that it was supposed to be funny. So after the couple at the time left the red carpet, a photographer was heard yelling from the pit, "Thank you for financing my healthcare and life insurance." And then Amy Schumer was like, "Oh, you're welcome, baby." So she later described her decision to dive in front of the couple on the Graham Norton show, saying, "I saw Kim and Kanye standing there, just owning it, being important. And I think falling is the funniest thing, so I took a dive in front of them." Okay, it's, sometimes you can let those impulsive thoughts stay in your head. In the span of a week back in 2012, Sacha Baron Cohen went from being banned from attending the Oscars, dressed as his latest character at the time, the Dictator, to getting a last-minute reprieve from the Academy, to dumping what he said was a dictator's ashes on Ryan Seacrest during the live red carpet coverage of the event. Emerging from a limo flanked by two women and dressed as General Aladdin, the fictional ruler of the Republic of whatever that he invented, he marched straight up to Ryan Seacrest and declared, "Death to the West!" before accidentally dumping an urn of ashes all over a very, shocked Ryan Seacrest. So what was the explanation behind all of this? Apparently it was actually Bisquick, by the way, and apparently this was like, oh, this dictator's dream to come to the Oscars and be sprinkled all over the red carpet, and something very explicit that I can't say. So after he completely slithered off back to where he belonged, Ryan Seacrest took it all in stride. He's like, I had an idea something was coming, but I didn't know what was coming, and now you know why this isn't taped. Anything can happen, and it most certainly did, all over my lapel. Turns out originally the plan to spell whatever it was in that urn was supposed to happen to George Clooney, but then somebody somewhere decided, hey, maybe that's a stupid idea, because at the time, George Clooney was up for a lot of awards. So then they spun the wheel of tragedy and it landed on Ryan Seacrest. And also just, why? Gary Busey repeatedly interrupted Ryan Seacrest, wow, here we go again, while he was interviewing Laura Linney and Jennifer Garner for E! But the encounter became truly uncomfortable when Ryan asked Gary, "Do you know Jennifer Garner?" And Gary responded by abruptly kissing her neck. Ugh. Jennifer was visibly taken aback, and rightfully so, and responded to Ryan's next question with a very valid one of her own. "Aren't you gonna ask me about getting kissed on the neck on the red carpet by this man?" Yeah, I'd be grossed out and running for the hills and maybe getting physical. Jennifer Lawrence took a heck of a tumble at the 2014 Oscars, but this wasn't on the telecast. The American Hustle star, clad in a red, beautiful Dior gown, apparently stumbled over a cone as she was exiting her limo when she arrived at the Dolby Theater red carpet. She's like, yeah, they put a cone right outside of my car, and I fell in the cone, and I have a goose egg, and it really hurts. That's what she told reporters. She's like, it's okay. I've got them all over myself. Girl, same, I got weird bruises everywhere. Although she didn't technically faceplant, she definitely got pretty close to the red carpet and needed security to help her get back on her feet. She was actually quite shocked about how quickly news of the trip up traveled, but when you consider social media, how many thousands of cameras are on the red carpet, and viral everything, When talking to Ryan Seacrest, because he's everywhere today, she's like, yeah, this wasn't a plan. I wasn't planning on making a sequel to my fall. She's like, I don't want it to start looking like it's my thing, so I've got to be careful. And then she later on told The Times that she was hoping she wouldn't have to deal with that ever again. Even Oscar host that year, Ellen DeGeneres, got in on the joke, starting her opening monologue by saying, if you win tonight, I think we should bring you the Oscar. And then she shared a photo of her on Facebook, being like, oh look, it's a rare photo of Jennifer Lawrence standing up. Yeah, we all know about your mean jokes now, Ellen. If you want to see a red carpet reporter work hard for her money, look no further than Kat Sadler trying to rein in a very philosophical Jim Carrey. So he was in attendance at the Harper Bazaar's Icons party and said, I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and then proceeded to explain how nothing was real, not even to him. And after Kat pointed out that yeah, I've never seen you at this before, he's like, yeah, there's no meaning to any of this. Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming possibility we could come up with. Do you believe in icons? Now when Kat tried to answer his statement, he interjected, I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist. But there is a wonderful fragrance in the air. Carrie even looked in the camera and gave this whole speech. I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personalities, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes things bounce off. I believe it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself, and I don't care. This wasn't exactly fresh poetry, by the way. The lines were borrowed from a commencement speech he gave in 2014 at a university. So sure, he kinda sounded like somebody on a bit of a bender, and it's not clear whether he sensed the irony in himself saying all of that while attending the party and wearing a flashy tailored suit. And when somebody did ask him about what he was wearing, he's like, oh, I didn't get dressed up. There is no me. There's just things happening. Okay, dude. Alrighty folks, fun fact about me, Zac Efron was my first celebrity crush. I had the posters on the wall, the High School Musical bedding, you name it. And then I heard about the embarrassing mishap at the Lorax premiere. Zac Efron was responsible for voicing Ted Wiggins. This boy, he's trying to impress a girl, whole thing, we find the Lorax. So at the time, I think he was like 24, and he was on the orange carpet at Universal Studios in Hollywood, because this was a movie targeted towards a young fan base, and he was greeting a fan, he was fumbling in his pockets, and then he dropped a condom. And the whole thing was captured on video, and because he was a Disney star at the time, it went viral. Look, it's not unbelievable he was carrying one. Like, that's, you know, not out of the norm for an adult. But that's what wallets are for. Like, why did nobody give him the memo? In an interview on the Today Show after the incident, he joked, I never really had a pocket checking policy prior to going on the red carpet before, but now we have one, and that was that. Look, it happened, he left it off, and now he checks his pockets with his team before being photographed by paparazzi. Much about the 2001 Oscar ceremony played out as expected. Julia Roberts completed her award sweep for Erin Brockovich, taking home the statuette for Best Actress. When Marsha Gray Harden beat out frontrunner Kate Hudson for Best Supporting Actress, it was a moment of surprise. But the biggest shock that night, 20-something years ago, and the most memorable moment of the 73rd Academy Awards, happened outside the auditorium, on the red carpet, when Bjork appeared wearing a dress that resembled a swan. It was this crystal-encrusted body stocking surrounded by a puff of white tulle with a long neck that draped around her own, the orange beak resting on her chest. Her accessories? A trail of eggs that she laid as she walked down the red carpet. She's like, yeah, I was dropping them carefully on the red carpet. But other people's bodyguards kept picking them up and saying, excuse me ma'am, you dropped this. Yeah, it was a little out of the ordinary, but now it's a fashion moment we will never forget.
Number 10. Will Smith. Now, if it was just the whole Oscars thing that tainted his image, I would leave him alone and just ignore the situation. But this man is humiliated on almost a daily basis now, thanks to his wife, partner thingy, Jada Pinkett Smith. This woman shares something new about her relationship every other day of the week. She dominated the front page media for a solid 4 or 5 months out of this year alone. I'll be honest, it went by very fast, so I just don't remember much. What I do remember is the photos of Will Smith just looking defeated, and he's usually sharing the same space as Jada. Jada literally looks like a Disney villain every time a camera is pointed at her face, like she knows where the king's missing daughter is, but she's not gonna tell anyone until she gets that crown. Before releasing a tell-all book revealing even more dirty secrets, she just took the hamper out and dumped it on the dining room table. I swear, every time this woman watches Will Smith wipe his nose, she has to do a breakfast television appearance the next day. This man may have slapped Chris Rock on live TV, sure, but that is nothing compared to the absolute mental damage that woman does to him constantly. I have never seen a woman share more about her marriage despite the absolute trash that marriage contains. She told the world that Tupac proposed to her from prison. She said she's been separated from Will for 7 years. She talks about how many times she's done it with Will Smith and just so much more. That poor man. Number 9, Kendall Jenner. Members of the Kardashian family will make a few appearances on this list. Kendall has been called out for using Photoshop in one of her photos online a few times, but there was just the most obvious Photoshop fail of all time after she posted a photo of herself in a bikini where she appears to be turning into a werewolf. Her fingers on her right hand are melting down into a straight line, making it look like she's morphing before our very eyes. Her sister Kim called her out on social media for the flub, and so did the rest of the internet, but there are plenty of examples of Kardashians being caught in a lie or indulging in a moment. But the best part of this entire thing was that she doubled down by posting a photo of her normal hands slumped down so that people could see the difference. On top of that flub, she was also humiliated further when a clip from that show, The Kardashians, showed Kendall attempting to chop some cucumbers, and she clearly doesn't know how to do it. Like someone's been making her cucumbers since she was 3. Number 8, Zac Efron. Zac rose to fame as a Disney darling, playing playing the lead role of Troy Bolton in High School Musical. Since his Disney days, Zach has lent his voice and face to several projects, but the red carpet event that kinda tainted his image for the animated Dr. Seuss movie The Lorax. Zach, who voiced the main character of the movie, was walking the red carpet when he suddenly handed his assistant something from his pocket. As he handed them the product, something fell out of his pocket and onto the ground. And that something is a word that I'm not allowed to say online, so let's call them love tubes. Zach's love tube wrapper was flat on the red carpet right there for the world to see. He quickly picked it up, but the damage had already been done. In the first interview following the incident, the interviewer asked Zach if anything unplanned had happened during his walk. He then explained that it was a complete accident, there was no pre-show pocket check that could have prevented it. Well, Illumination didn't like that excuse, and they didn't seem to like their main star being associated with such adult projects, so when that Lorax sequel came out, they were planning to replace Zach with another actor. But I guess whoever they picked wasn't famous enough because that project got canned, and Zach found work in Baywatch. Good for you, buddy. Number 7, Chris Evans. As many of us know, double checking your work is important, especially when the destination is the public. Now, this was a lesson that Chris Evans, aka Captain America himself, had to learn the hard way. A little while back, Chris posted a screen video to his Instagram, but forgot to actually crop the video out. So, as it finished, fans were greeted to a brief glimpse of Chris's Long John Silver. The video was quickly taken down by all accounts. This seems like something that he did not want to post online. He was quiet for a bit, but even his Marvel co-stars started throwing him a roast or two. Mark Ruffalo tweeted that since Donald Trump was in office at the time, that there was nothing that Chris could do to embarrass himself. Chris only acknowledged the incident in a brief post a few weeks later, telling people that now that he had their attention, they should go vote on November 3rd. That's one way to get the word of mouth going, eh? Hey, Chris Evans just showed me his dingling. Vote Biden! Of all the humiliating moments on this list, this should have been one of the bigger ones, but Chris received little to no flack for the accident. Even Marvel didn't care, and they care about everything. Number 6, Elon Musk. Elon is one of the most important men in the world, being the CEO of not only Tesla, but Twitter, aka X. A few years ago, Elon revealed a new design for an electric truck that looked sleek and metallic called the Cybertruck. The demonstration took place in front of a massive crowd where Elon revealed the truck, and he confidently told them that his truck was incredibly strong, nearly impossible to break the windows or damage the structural integrity in any way, shape, or form. So, a massive metal ball was tossed at its windows, and guess what? It broke. Kinda. The ball kinda stayed there for a second before revealing a massive hole, but as Elon said, it didn't go through the windows, so that's a bonus. The audience found this amusing, and Elon laughed the whole thing off, but following the event, he discovered the incident was to blame on the order in which it was tested. During the tests before the presentation, a sledgehammer was swung at its doors and seemed to hold up pretty well. However, the hammer hit the truck in a sweet spot because a small little crack formed in the corner of the window. When the demo took place, the force made the crack massive and it just broke. It's nice to know what happened, but it doesn't change the fact that his near indestructible truck couldn't even handle a sledgehammer swing. Like, come on, bro, it's lame. Number 5, Kendall Jenner. Again, sponsored brand deals can mean a lot of money for the people involved. Just look at every cologne on the planet. They hire someone to stand on a beach for 30 seconds and they make $1 million. Around 2017, Kendall decided to partner with the soda brand Pepsi to create a commercial that would act as both an ad and a PSA against hatred. The commercial consisted of hundreds of people from different parts of the world drinking Pepsi, and eventually everyone comes together on the streets of what appears to be New York. Kendall looks to the crowd, wipes off her makeup, and follows suit. The cringy moment comes when the crowd of people appear to be at a standoff with the police, and Kendall walks through them and just hands an officer a can of Pepsi. He sips it, crowd cheers, they swarm the cops who are suddenly cool with everything that's going on. Life's great. This ad was meant to be a political statement following the passing of several African American men and women in the United States, aiming to bring people together, which it did, but for the wrong reasons. The world collectively just cringed at this absolute mess, forcing Kendall to drop an apology video on that season's premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She may have apologized, but we will never forget the weirdest commercial of all time. Number 4, Milli Vanilli. In 1989, the duo of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were on the top of the world. A fairly unknown crew had quickly rise to number 2 on the Billboard 100 list. They began performing their hit song in front of thousands of fans across the world, and people were hooked until very shortly into their rise to fame, they were performing in front of 80,000 people at a a theme park in Bristol, Connecticut. They took the stage with their well-known dance moves and started singing, but when the chorus came in, it stayed. It repeated over and over again on a busted loop. The track that they had been lip-syncing to was trash, and the truth had been revealed. Not only did they not sing a single note of their hit song, Girl You Know It's True, but the song itself was actually stolen from another group a few years prior. Milli Vanilli were a disgrace, and what was worse is that only a few days before they were exposed to the world, they had won an award for the tune and they had to give it back. Ow! Number 3, Ellen DeGeneres. When Dakota Johnson was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2019, she took a very subtle and pulled back approach to addressing an issue with the host. Ellen asked Johnson when her birthday was and then claimed that she had never received an invitation for the party. The 50 Shades star quickly smiled, revealed that she actually had in fact extended that invitation, but apparently Ellen did not reply. Ellen was baffled and asked Dakota if she was sure. There was no possible way, right? And Dakota said, ask literally anyone here, specifically your producer Jonathan. Following the comment, Ellen is just searching the room for Jonathan with an angry expression on her face, which is understandable because she got outed as a liar on her own show. Unfortunately for Ellen, that wouldn't be the last time, as a couple months later, a lot of stories and tweets and rumors started circulating about Ellen mistreating her staff, and eventually the show got canceled. So looks like Dakota delivered 50 Shades of oops. That sucks. Number 2, Justin Bieber. In 2015, Justin was performing on the Today Show, debuting his new song, What Do You Mean? During his performance, he got super excited and started dancing and singing his track, you know, as one does. But moments later, he got caught on air dissing the camera operator, saying that he might as well not dance since they don't even move an inch. He said next time he won't dance because it's just a waste of effort, and he was visibly annoyed as he ended his time on the show. Fans from Justin were quick to question his aggression in the moment. Before being cut off by the commercial break, Justin started to rant about what he even does this for, and if they're just gonna ignore him and cut him off, then what's the point? Not long after this on-air mishap, Justin announced that he was taking a break from music. The two seem to be unrelated, but you never know. Embarrassment's a pretty big deal. Maybe he had some real regrets when it comes to scolding the cameraman that did nothing to you before that. And out of all the mistreatment scandals surrounding Justin Bieber, this one is honestly just the silliest and pretty embarrassing. When Justin appeared on the set of CSI, he actually upset an entire crew with his behavior, according to several people who were on that show. Justin put his fist through a cake that was on the craft service table. He dismissed the claims as baseless, but a lot of people saw him do that, so just go into your room and be quiet, Justin. Just be quiet. Number 1, Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible man who turned out to be a creepy creepo creepy. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry. Somehow the topic got into Ritalian and pseudosciences. I don't know, Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more stuff about him, like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist. If someone gave Tom Cruise a therapy license, quit your job. The interview came at the height of Tom's very public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of this interview, though, comes when Cruise was asked about his previous criticism of Brooke Shields, who took anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. I looked up the definition. That means fluent and voluble, but insecure and shallow. That's not insulting. This was only one of several interviews from 2005 that I could discuss today. We could talk about Katie Holmes on Oprah. We could talk about him on a breakfast morning. We could talk about him waking up in the morning and brushing his teeth. This guy is terrible.
At number 10, we have her bringing Will on her podcast. Jada has a podcast with her mother and their shared daughter, and she has celebrity guest stars on it often as well. There was one point where she even decided to have Will on said podcast. But it wasn't just a get to know you kind of segment. She wanted to publicly record them talking about the issues in their relationship. As you can expect, she benefited from it, because she can be an awful person like that. And she was the only one of the two of them who felt like it helped emotionally and mentally. Will was distraught for most of the episode and just looked crushed and defeated throughout it. Of course, it went viral, and even now, the sad Will Smith memes are still fairly popular. The episode made it more than obvious that he's been really unhappy in his marriage, and we can't really blame him, honestly. It made the top of the list because Jada seemed so happy to be there and discussing the issues that humiliated him, even though she could clearly see how upset it made him. And if that doesn't sum up their marriage, I don't know what does. At number 8, we have her boyfriend sharing his side of the story. While she and Will were on an apparent break in their marriage, she decided it would be okay to have another relationship with rapper August Alsina, who happened to be one of her son's close friends. However, after rumors started circulating, he did an interview with Vulture and said that his coming clean about their relationship was to clear the air, and that it was necessary to move forward in their relationship together. On the opposite end of this, Jada was trying to cover it up for the duration of their fling, and when he let the cat out of the bag, she had nowhere to hide. I mean, who wouldn't want to hide when you're dating someone while still legally married and he happened to be 20 years younger than you? He agreed with Jada that their relationship was an entanglement because it was complex and taboo, and the only reason they didn't work out was because the news of their relationship was detrimental to his work life, not just his personal life. So not only did she embarrass Will by dating someone else while they were legally married, she embarrassed August and made his life extremely complicated, all for a few months of fun. At number 8, we have filming without Will's permission. This one is a little less drastic than some of the other points on the list, but she made Will very uncomfortable and didn't really understand what she was doing wrong. After the Chris Rock incident, people were going back through their media documented marriage moments just to see if she's done anything like that before, and a lot of people landed on one specific clip of Jada's Instagram Live from 2019. She was talking about their marriage counselor and faced the camera towards Will and asked if their counselor was really helping them redefine their marriage. He looked annoyed and rather uncomfortable, then responded with, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me first if you could." But instead of respecting his wishes, she continued to try and film his response, with limited success. So while she didn't embarrass him on live television, she did embarrass him on her Instagram Live. At number 7, we have attempting to defend their marriage. Jada has put her foot down a handful of times, stating that they didn't have an open relationship, but she had posted some Facebook comments and made comments that contradict that. On her Facebook page, she attempted to clear up the rumors and help the situation, but all it did was open a can of worms. She said that they had an unconventional marriage, and while they aren't in an open relationship, monogamy is something they choose. That isn't entirely true. Monogamy was something she chose. It was something that Will would follow through with through their entire marriage. He didn't run around with his kids' friends and then defend the relationship because they were on a break. She also said that they both had the option to do whatever they pleased because they trusted each other, which seems like she was trying to shift the blame to make her look less like the bad guy. She finished the post by saying they did not have an open relationship, they have a grown one. This is contradictory in itself because her actions only made them grow apart rather than as a couple, and she was the only one in the relationship doing the growing. At number 6, we have her talking about their relationship issues. Like I had mentioned in an earlier point, Jada hosts a podcast with her mother and her daughter, which is called Red Table Talks, if you want to look for it. On one of the episodes they had recorded, she had the ever so hated Gwyneth Paltrow as a guest star. Part of their discussion was about intimacy, both in general and in their relationships. So in classic Jada fashion, she opened up about her intimacy issues with Will. Not only did she publicly have a long-term relationship with one of her son's friends, but she also had the nerve to blame their intimate issues on Will. She admitted she wanted him to read her mind to know what she liked, rather than communicating her feelings like an adult. She then claimed that she expects her partner to know what she likes, even if she never verbally shared how she felt, and finished off by saying she just somehow wasn't satisfied with him. Not only did she embarrass herself on her podcast, but she also embarrassed Will right along with her. At number 5, we have the clash with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is known across the world for his music, his silly antics, his hefty interest in herbology, and for popping up in the most random places, like on a talk show with Kevin Hart, a cooking show with Martha Stewart, and a Bit commercial. Everyone knows who he is. So when Jada attempted to go toe-to-toe with him after Kobe Bryant's accident, it made everyone hide their eyes in second secondhand embarrassment. After Bryant's passing, it came to light that he was in a court case for having lack of communication with a 19-year-old. This was before he married his wife, I might add. The case was dropped due to lack of evidence, and the accuser had nothing concrete. He then married his wife in 2001, so it had been almost 2 decades since the incident. Gayle King brought up the case during his wake, which was really disrespectful and uncalled for. It caused insane backlash from people and celebrities alike, and Snoop Dogg was one of them who made it very clear how he felt about the situation. Jada didn't like his response and invited him on her podcast in an attempt to clear things up. She claimed she felt hurt on behalf of all women because of the way he spoke to Gayle, and she felt like he had taken power away from her, her mother, and her daughter, which makes no sense. Gayle overstepped her boundary and Snoop called her on it. The situation had literally nothing to do with Jada. She just happened to see it and felt like she needed to be involved. At number 4, we have her mocking the party he threw. For Jada's 37th birthday, Will decided it would be a great idea to throw a massive surprise party. Now, it wasn't just their celebrity friends and some close family and what have you. He hired party planners to set it up and spent 3 days planning and getting everything ready. He even booked Mary J. Blige to perform for her. Talk about a birthday gift. But that's not all. He traced her family roots and invited her family members from her long line of lineage. Not only did he find her family, he went out of his way to reach out to them and invite them to the party. You'd think she would appreciate his labor of love, but instead she threw it back in his face, claiming he only did it to display his ego. And she hated the fact that he went out of his way to throw her the party. He admitted he was devastated when she said those hurtful things, and it even sent him on a downward spiral that negatively impacted his life. This should have been one of the biggest of many red flags. At number 3, we have her feelings for Tupac. For those of you who don't know, Jada was in a long-term relationship with Tupac years before she met Will, and his untimely passing was the end of their relationship. It's normal and even healthy to miss someone who passed, especially when you were romantically involved with them for a few years. But in 2012, while she and Will were still married, she posted a picture of her and Tupac in a very intimate embrace and captioned the photo, "I miss him." It makes sense wanting to share your deep feelings with the world, especially when they're affecting you most. But it was a questionable photo to choose to post, especially when you're married to someone else. Not to mention, Will and Jada's daughter Willow wrote a letter addressed to Tupac after he passed because Willow claimed she knew he was still alive. One of the lines in the letter read, "Can you please come back so mommy and me can be happy? I think mommy really misses you." It seems sweet and rather innocent, but at a young age, she was aware of how much he still had a hold on Jada, and she wanted him to come back into their lives, which at that point seemed like it could have been the end of Will and Jada's marriage. Nothing came of it, obviously, but it makes you question how much Willow really knew about the situation. At number 2, we have how she never really wanted to marry Will. When you get married to someone, it's supposed to be forever. That's the point of marriage, is to link two people's lives together for a lifelong commitment of love and trust. So it's less surprising what Jada did in their marriage when she admitted she never really wanted to get married. She and Will got married when they were very young, and it was actually Jada's mother who pressured her into the marriage because she really liked Will and saw the potential in him. However, that decision aged poorly because of her heinous actions that I covered in some of the points above. For Will's birthday, she posted a fairly old photo of them with their 2 kids and one of Jada's sons from one of her previous relationships. Many fans sent birthday wishes, but there were a few who made snarky remarks and rehashed lines from Red Table Talks, contradicting the post. Some people commented on how she didn't love him romantically, and a clip came up of her saying how she cried all the way down the aisle because she didn't want to be married to him, and how she felt pressure to be wed even though she never wanted to be married in general. At least she's happy with him 28 years later with multiple affairs and many humiliating moments for both of them. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the slap. Of course, the infamous slap made number 1. The situation went down at the 94th Academy Awards, and that same evening, Will actually won the Best Actor award for his performance in King Richard. But that wasn't the only performance that night. He and Jada were sitting relatively close to the front when Chris Rock was on the stage accepting an award and made a joke directed at Jada. He was referencing her bald head when he asked if she was going to be in G.I. Jane. Will laughed because Chris Rock is funny, and Jada wasn't having it. She rolled her eyes and looked at Will with a piercing gaze because she wanted him to do something about it. So he waltzed up on stage and gave Chris Rock a full swing slap to the face, then proceeded to yell at him, saying to keep Jada's name out of his mouth. Of course, the meme circulated and everyone heard about it. But Jada came out later saying that she'd been struggling with alopecia for years, and at this point, all she could do was laugh or not take it to heart. Neither of which she did when she ended up getting her and her husband blacklisted from the Academy Awards.